You can get the Silent King for $160 in the US, or if you're in the UK, it's going to be £95. Now that's the Silent King as well as the 2 Trial Minis that come in the kit. Now you're going to be using a Supreme Command detachment when taking the Silent King within your list, so it's going to be refunding any CP that you've spent on one of the other main detachments, a patrol detachment, a battalion detachment, or a brigade detachment. Now all models within this unit do have the core keyword because they're all vehicles. However, they are all dynastic agents, so they're not going to be gaining any of the dynasty codes. No matter what code you take, they cannot gain the buffs to those codes. It's also worth noting that Xeric is actually a noble model. The 2 Trial Minis are not nobles, but Xeric is a noble model. So anything that he kills is going to count toward the Code of Combat secondary objective from the Necron Codex. And overall, this unit is going to be costing us 400 points. Now, apart from the standard stuff of Living Metal and Command Protocols, you can opt to spend 1 command point, giving him his Warlord trait, which is the Triarch's Will. So for one of the command protocols that you assign to one of the battle rounds, you can use it twice as opposed to once. Now he's got loads of abilities. He can deny a psychic power as if he was a psyker. All enemy units are going to be fighting last if they're within engagement range of the Silent King. You can allow core units and Triarch Praetorian units within 6 inches to reroll their hit rolls at range and reroll their wound rolls in melee. Furthermore, my will be done ability of course for a +1 to those hit rolls, so likely going to be hitting on a 2+ as opposed to a 3, and because of the fair on ability, he can do that on 2 completely different units. So one of those units can in fact be his unit because he is of course a core unit. Relentless March Aura of course, so a +1 to all movement for core units within 6 inches. Again, that's going to include himself. Now those Trial Minis, they're going to be taking damage before the Silent King takes damage, because once the Silent King does go down, the whole unit goes down. But thankfully, they must take all the damage before the Silent King does. Now he's got an ability called the Silent King, so you're going to be gaining 3 additional command points when fielding the Silent King, which is pretty good, especially in the smaller games because you start with only 3 command points. In the normal size games you start with 6, but once you start spending them on relics and warlord traits, your CP is quite limited, so having 3 additional command points to start the game is really nice. The whole unit's got a 4+ invulnerable save, and when he is destroyed on a 4+, units within 2d6 inches are going to suffer d6 mortal wounds. That's quite a big range and there's quite a lot of mortal wounds going out there. Now he does have a degrading stat line, but it's only the movement and the amount of attacks he has that gets degraded, so it's not too bad. He still hits on a 2+ as standard, and he's got a lot of weapons. Okay, so let's go through the weapons as well. The 2 Annihilation Beams from the Trial Minis, they are pretty fantastic. 36-inch range, heavy 1, but they're strength 12, -4 AP, and the damage is a flat 6. This may be a situation where you want to be using your Techno-Oracular targeting stratagem for a command point, so you don't have to roll to wound. If you're going up against something big, the likelihood is you're going to need a 3+ to wound, whereas this will just automatically wound. So other shooting attacks, the Scepter of Eternal Glory, 24-inch, Assault 3, Strength 8, -3 AP, and 2 damage. So a nice little marine killer there, wounding on a 2+, and yeah, each wound that goes through eliminates one of those models. The Staff of Stars, which is a 24-inch range weapon. This one is Assault 9, Strength 6, -2 AP, and 1 damage. So this one's more useful on light infantry models with Toughness 3 because you're wounding them on a 2+. There's not much AP there and only 1 damage, but that's all you need for those kind of light screen models. Now in terms of the melee side of things, you've got the Scepter of Eternal Glory, so we've already mentioned the shooting side of this scepter, but the melee side of it is Strength 9, -3 AP, and 2 damage. Again, it's a marine killer. You're very likely wounded on a 2+, but you can also use this on the tougher opposition if you wanted to. So the Scythe of Dust, you get 4 additional attacks with the Scythe of Dust. Strength 8, -4 AP, and 3 damage. A nice Terminator killer there with the 3 damage, not too bad. And the Staff of Stars, again, the melee side of it. You're going to be getting 3 additional attacks with this weapon. Only Strength 5, -2 AP, and 1 damage. So this one you're going to be going back to the light infantry again if needed. There's a lot of weapons there, taking out a lot of different enemy units, which makes him very flexible, very versatile, and a huge threat for your opponent to deal with. Now we've already mentioned his abilities that can actually boost all of these weapons that we've just mentioned, but there's also a stratagem which is the Disruption Field Stratagem for a +1 to the strength of all the melee weapons that he's got. Other stratagems of note, Stellar Alignment Protocol, which is for 1 command point. If he was bracketed, you can still be using his top bracket, in particular for the amount of attacks he's going to be getting, because if he is bracketed, he won't be getting his 6 attacks, he'll be going down to 4 or 2. So if you want all the attacks, yeah, 1 CP, you get to do that. Also, there's Curse of the Pharaoh for 1 command point. If it was destroyed, you don't need to roll a 4+ roll, you can just automatically explode for 1 command point. Definitely worth doing. Now, as for unit synergy, there's the highly debatable one with the Technomancer within the Xerican Dynasty. Has to be the Xerican Dynasty, don't forget. using his Rites of Reanimation ability on the Silent King to bring back one of those Trichominirs. It's still a hot debate on whether the Silent King actually needs reanimation protocols as an ability for the Rites of Reanimation ability to work on those Trichominirs, but as far as I can see, the Rites of Reanimation ability does not state that you need the reanimation protocols ability. I personally don't do it, but until it gets FAQ'd, it's still going to be a huge debate. Now with the Technomancer, you want to be taking the Canoptic Cloak, healing D3 lost wounds to those Trichominirs or the Silent King himself, and very similar, the Canoptic Spider can also do that with the Fabrication Claw Array on a vehicle model, which the Silent King is. Now going back to that Technomancer, maybe you want to use him with the Veil of Darkness relic. You can put that Veil on your Technomancer and take the Silent King with him to the other side of the board. There is a position where the Silent King does fit wholly within 6 inches of your Technomancer model, so if you wanted to do that, yep, you can do that, not a problem. Now very similar to the Technomancer, Illumina Zarez also has the Rites of Reanimation ability, but also he's got his Mechanical Augmentation ability, and this only works on core units, which the Silent King is. It is, however, a random roll, but 2 out of 3 of them are going to be pretty decent for the Silent King. One of them will be a +1 to the strength, one is a +1 to the toughness, and the third one, okay, it's a +1 to the ballistic skill. You don't really need that because he hits on a 2+, re-rolling. 2 out of 3 isn't too bad. For me, I'd probably prefer the toughness out of all of them because the toughness he has is only toughness 7. I would like that to be a toughness 8. We can't have it all, can we? Now, there's lots of other units that are going to synergize with the Silent King himself, pretty much the whole codex, in fact, so I'm not going to go through every single unit. This is meant to be a bite-sized video. I'm trying to cut this as short as possible, but for me, with my Planet 40k rating for the Silent King, it's an easy 5 stars.